Welcome to ABC Preschool. My name is Miss Annette, and today we're learning about apples. Apples are a fruit. They grow on trees, and you can find them in grocery stores or markets. They come in different colors like green and yellow and red. And this one right here is a little bit of both red and yellow. I love that. They have funny little names too. It's like Granny Smith and Red Delicious and Pink Lady. And some apples are sweet and some apples are sour. I really love apples. Now we'll talk about the different parts of an apple. This is the stem. This is where it was hanging from the tree. Right here is the skin or the peel of the apple. On the bottom here, we find a little crustiness. This is where the blossom used to be. It grows bigger and bigger and bigger. It becomes a full-grown apple tree. And on this apple tree, we're going to draw many branches. And on the branches, in the springtime, we'll find little blossoms on there. Beautiful little blossoms. And the pollinators, like bees, they come and they fly and they pollinate these blossoms. Do you remember I showed you on the opposite end of the stem, there's that crusty thing? That's where the blossom was. And after it's pollinated, the blossom petals fall to the ground. We'll draw some of them right here. And I'll just erase this one because he is going to turn into a beautiful, delicious apple. There's another way to cut an apple, and it's straight through the middle, like this. I hope you can see that, because on the inside right here, there's a star shape. No matter what shape it is, or how it tastes, whether it's sour or sweet, it always has a star shape on the inside where the seeds are. And I think about people. This is like us. We come in different colors and different shapes and different sizes. And some of us are sweet and some of us are kind of sour and grumpy. But on the inside, where our feelings are, we're exactly the same. It reminds me that I want to be kind to the people I'm around because they have the same feelings that I do.
Field trip time. I wanted to have apples that were fresh off the tree for this class, and I knew I would enjoy picking them myself. I went to an orchard near me. They gave me a box and allowed me to go and pick my own apples. I noticed that there weren't very many apples down low, that most of the trees had apples way up high. I wanted to get a stem on this apple and didn't get it, but I was happy to see that crusty part on the bottom where the blossom used to be. I noticed this apple way up high, so I reached up high, wanted to be gentle with that branch so I didn't break it, and I got that high apple. What I really wanted was to find an apple tree that looked like that when I noticed this apple in the center right there. Look at it, it's so fascinating. That's where the apple rubbed against a branch, and attached to that apple are little baby apples that never got to grow into full-grown apples. So cool. Here you'll see my happy face. I found an apple tree that had apples down low so I could pick and pick and pick all the apples that I wanted. I looked down and I noticed on the ground that there were apples that had fallen from the tree. this inspired me to write a little story that I'll tell you a little later on in class. I absolutely loved my trip to the apple orchard.
There are many delicious things we can make with apples. I have a few of them right here. I have some apple chips, apple juice, apple sauce, and apple pie. I'm going to taste each one of them, and then I'm going to put them in order of the one that I like the least, and over here, the one that I like the best. So let's start. Apple chips, all these are really thin slices of apple, and then they dry them, and all the moisture goes out of them, and then they become crunchy like chips. They don't taste like a potato chip because they're not salty or greasy. They're really, really sweet. Could you hear that sound? A little bit crunchy sound. I love apple chips. Here's some apple juice. I wonder, have you ever tried apple juice before? I'm gonna try it right now. This apple juice has been in the refrigerator, and it's cold, and it's delicious. And some people like to drink their apple juice when it's warm, and even put a little bit of spice in there and make it all cozy and delicious. Here's some applesauce. This applesauce is in a cup, and I'm going to eat it with a spoon. But maybe when you eat your applesauce, you have it in a little packet and can just hold it up to your lips and suck that applesauce inside. It's good. It's kind of like a little apple slushy. And then last but not least, apple pie. Have you ever had apple pie before? Have you had any pie before? I love pies. Let's see how this apple pie is going to taste. Getting inside there, a little bite. That's really good. Okay, now we're going to put them in the order, and we'll have the one I didn't like the very best over here, and the one that I like the very best over here. All right, first off, I think I'm going to put the apple sauce here, and maybe leave the apple juice right here. Next, I'm going to have the apple pie, and the one out of these four that I like the best are the apple chips. What way do you like apples? 4, 6, 5, 7, 1, and 8. All right, here's our whiteboard. We're going to stick them on. First comes number 1. And I'm guessing you know what comes next. What is it? You're right, number 2. Let me find number 2 right here. So we have 1, 2. What's going to come next? Yep, number 3. Here's the 3. Are you 3? If you're 3, raise your hand in the air. That's wonderful. 1, 2, and 3. Next comes 4. Raise your hand if you're 4. That's wonderful. Then 5. 5 is one of my favorite numbers. Raise your hand if you're 5. 6 comes next. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know what comes next after 6? That's right, number 7. 7 followed by 8. Now I'm going to tell you a story about a little worm. Once upon a time, there lived a little worm named Win. He was in an apple orchard when he noticed the apples had started falling from the apple tree. He saw a green apple and thought, that apple looks delicious. He began to nibble on the apple and he realized this apple wasn't right for him. This apple was too sour. So Win moved on. Next, he came to a red apple. And as Win got closer to the red apple, he realized this apple was not right for him either. This apple had started to go rotten on the bottom. By now, Win was feeling very hungry. In fact, he thought he might starve. And just then he noticed another apple. This one was a golden apple. It wasn't as big as the green apple, and it wasn't as old and rotten as the red apple. As he began to eat on this golden apple, he realized this was the apple for him. It was perfect. And he ate and he ate and he ate until he was not hungry anymore. Now let's pretend we're apple trees. I know a little poem. It goes like this. Way up high in the apple tree, 2 little apples smiled down at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apple. They were good. Okay, now you do it with me. So stand up tall and reach for the sky. Way up high in the apple tree, we're pretending our fingers are the branches. Now close your hands like a fist, and we're going to pretend those are apples. 2 little apples smiled down at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apple. Now let's pretend to take a bite. They were good. Time to find out what our letter is today. Let's look in our letter box. It's the letter G. Big G, little g. Capital G, lowercase g. This is how you make an uppercase G, and this is how you make a lowercase g. Big G, little g. What begins with G? This is the sound. G, g, gorilla. Can you go like this and pound on your chest like a gorilla does? G, g, gorilla. All right, let's find out what's inside this box. A game. Game starts with the letter G. Make the sound with me and we'll say the word game. G, g, game. G, g, game. Next, we have some glue. Have you ever used glue before? Do you know what glue is used for? It's to stick 2 things together. Grapes. Grapes start with the letter G. Let's make the sound. G, g, grape. G, g, grape. And last but not least, a gorilla. And this gorilla must be a mama or a daddy gorilla because there's a little baby gorilla on its back. Gorilla starts with the letter G. G, g, gorilla. G, g, gorilla. Recently, I went to the zoo. Let's watch a little clip of when I visited the gorillas there.
Here is the dad gorilla, and in this habitat there's a dad, a mom, and a baby sister. Then there's also this other gorilla, and her name is Mary. She doesn't belong to the family, and she sits way off by herself. Well, in this next video, you're going to hear the voices of children. They're talking and asking the zookeeper questions, and Mary is going to make a funny noise, and the zookeeper's going to say, that means she's a happy gorilla.
What do they eat usually?
So they are a vegetarian. So what do you think that means?
Grass. I know. Grass and weeds. Grass and weeds and stuff.
I'm sorry, say that.
Omnivores?
Omnivores. We're omnivores.
Omnivores eat meat
Yeah.
and veggies.
Hey, how many gorillas is in this cage?
So in their habitat, we don't say cage because that really sounds really awful, doesn't it? If you were in a big cage,
Cell.
that's so great. Yeah.
We already
When you
saw
say
four. There's
habitat,
like one
there
way
are
over
5
there, bro.
individuals in there.
There's one below us. Yep.
Yeah, her name is
Wow.
Mary. So she's very, very
Look,
low.
Okay, there's another one over there. Jimmy's over there.
I see Mary. Is she out there?
Sonny, who is the dad. We have Jabali,
Where's
who's
the
a mom.
Tommy?
Um,
Is it that guy
those
eating
are
by the
daughter,
tree?
Helen and Mary.
It's the dad over there that
How long do they live?
Yeah. They can live up into their 50s. Yeah, we only have one male in
Did
there.
that just fart?
Yeah, she's a happy girl.
You farted! No, the gorilla did!
She likes food.
She's looking at us.
That's funny.
How do you tell what age they are?
They were born in the U.S., so we know exactly when they were born.
Almost, Levi.
I have had a great time learning about apples today. I'm so happy to know where they come from and how they grow and where I can find them. Next time you go to the grocery store or to the market, will you make sure that you look for apples and see if you can see them there? I'm grateful for apples in our world. I'm grateful for the yummy things that we can make with apples. I'm grateful that they're healthy for our bodies. But most of all, I'm grateful for you. You are special, and there is no one in the world exactly like you. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.